everyone and welcome back. So I am very happy to be coming on today and reviewing the 8th episode, sounds crazy to say, this show of WandaVision on Disney+. Now I do have my coffee with me. I'm holding it because it's kind of cold here in Ireland, and I watched this episode sort of late this afternoon, and wow, there was a lot going on in this. I really enjoyed it. So this episode, guys, really focused on Agatha, Wanda, and also Vision, which I really loved. This is so far my favourite episode. I think this episode and episode 6 would probably be my two favourites out of all of these 8 episodes. And this was very much so Agatha finding out how she's used, her powers, her hex powers, how Wanda has used her hex powers. And she done this by delving into very much so Wanda's past. And it was very sad. And something that I said in one of my earlier reviews is I was saying, I wonder, is she watching all these little sitcoms like Bewitched and everything? Because she probably, she grew up in Sokovia. These were probably little sitcoms that she was watching to kind of keep her mind off things. And yes, I was right, because, in this, the dad came in and there was this big suitcase, and inside it you could see the DVDs, and there was Bewitched, and then they were watching Dick Van Dyke, and Agatha took her to different places of her past, but really sad moments in her life, and it was emotional as a viewer to watch. But something I love about this show, we went to Sokovia quite literally, and you could see all the snow and everything, and oh my gosh, this was such an emotional episode, but it was fantastically done. And I want to give hats off to this show, because something that's very hard to do is this show, what they do is they show us as the viewer sort of jumping sort of time, showing into the past and things like that. But also the characters are being shown moments in the past. And sometimes that can be done, it's a bit messy, whereas when this show does it, they do it really well, and it's very on point. So I love how we can get to see it as a viewer, but we're getting to see the actors actually see it foreplay in front of them seeing their past events. So we go to Sokovia. That's very moving and very emotional. They're watching a Dick Van Dyke show, and then the next thing, boom, their whole place gets shattered, where they're home basically, and their mum and dad are dead. And her brother, of course, Pietro, they hide under a table. And this was something that Wanda explained in Age of Ultron. And this is something about this show, unless you've seen at least Age of Ultron, you're going to be pretty lost. And I think that's why not as many people and not as many YouTubers are talking about this series, is because it would be hard to understand if you don't know a bit of comic book lore, and you haven't maybe seen Age of Ultron. You might be a bit lost, because she did explain that she was hiding for 2 days. They hid under the table for 2 days, and then you could just see. And she explained that, there was a malfunction, and that's why it didn't go off, this like bomb. And of course it said on it Stark Industries. And if you think about it, that's why in Age of Ultron she was explaining, and we knew that she just hated Tony Stark, her and Pietro, her brother. And of course you would. If that happened to me in when I lived with my mum and dad, and then you just seen like Stark Industries, and then you meet someone called Tony Stark, you'd be like, heck to freaking well no, I'm going to kill you. Like, you'd want to kill them, or at least you wouldn't want to be in the same room. And also we seen her at the Avengers compound as well, and she was sitting on the bed, and she was watching Malcolm in the Middle, which was of course I think a couple of episodes ago, which was the little intro, that was the Easter egg, Malcolm in the Middle, and she was watching Malcolm in the Middle in this. And then Vision walks in, and it's a very emotional scene, and he said something that really got me thinking. He said, I've never had someone to love, I've never had a loved one to lose. And that sort of makes you think, like, we are lucky to have loved ones, because there is some people that don't really have many people, or don't have anybody. And that really got me thinking, and that got me, I've never had a loved one to lose. What was really moving and emotional was, it was awful, like, we got to see her go in, and she's just like, I just want to see Vision, sort of thing. And then he took her up to this big glass part, and she looked down, and it was Vision being dismantled. And oh my gosh, like, she has lost so much, and she has been through so much, like, agonizing pain. if you think about it, she's lost her mother, she's lost her father. It's just, it's painstaking for her. And then she smashed the glass. That was a really, really cool scene. And she came down, and his head was just there on its own, just his head. And oh my gosh, it was very well done visually, but very, very hard to look at and sad. If you have been watching all of the, Marvel movies and, you're up to date, it's not easy to watch. And I felt really, really sorry for her. And she had put her hand on his head and she said, I can't feel you. I don't feel you. I don't feel you. So then we get to realise that what we had thought, the writers had made us believe up to now, was that she had stole his body. But that's not the case. It confirmed in this episode that she created Vision from scratch, because he had left her, and there was this like little map that she had of a heart that said where we will grow old together. So before he had passed away, he had already mapped out a home for them to grow old together in, and it was in a place called Westview. And we seen her then really upset. She drives into Westview and she opens up the map and it says in a heart where we will grow old together. And then she just goes like, drops down onto the ground, very like she did. And what I loved about this was when she was so hurt and broken when her brother died in Age of Ultron, and she just was standing, and it just reminded me of the same scene. And she just like dropped to the ground on her knees, like, I have lost everything. I have lost everyone that I freaking well love. And I love that. It just gave me real Age of Ultron vibes. And she dropped to the ground, and then she uses her red hex powers, and then she created Vision. And this is where we go, way back in time, of where she starts off this sitcom, this false reality, this Westview, and then they're in the black and white, and it's kind of like where they started off in episode 1, and he's standing there and he goes, welcome home. So she created him from scratch. And I really love the whole opening scenes. I forgot to mention of Agatha the witch. Oh my gosh, that was fantastic, all the purples and everything, and she really suits playing this evil side. I liked her little quirky funny side, but we've passed that now and we're onto the evil side of her, and I do really, really like that. But there was a moment actually when she was in the Avengers compound where she kind of was like, it looked like she actually felt a bit sorry for her. But she was trying to figure out, how she did all this. How did you do it? All these hex powers and everything she's been using. And then she said she was like in the air, and she had a hold of her 2 sons, like purple around their neck. And she said, I know who you are and what you are. You are the Scarlet Witch, guys. And if you think about it, that's the first time we have had that name mention, the Scarlet Witch's name mentioned barely speak, guys, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So wow, that was really cool. So I really, really absolutely love Agatha's character, even more so than I did before. I think her character is so cool, how she's playing like evil and everything. And then we had an end credit scene, and they had rebuilt Vision. Now, from what I can remember from watching some comic lore stuff, there is another version, or versions possibly, I think, of Vision. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not always right, guys. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't know everything, but I do enjoy watching comic book lore stuff. But I think maybe he's going to maybe have some maybe malfunctions or something like that. Maybe, possibly. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it'll be interesting to see what is going to happen with that. And then we have obviously the version that Wanda had made completely from scratch. So I really, really am looking forward to next week's episode. This episode was probably the longest, I think, because it came up on my Disney Plus 46 minutes. But the way there's always loads of like stuff at the end, and it's just, but I think this was the longest one out of all of them, so that was interesting as well. But I really, really enjoyed this. I have really, really been enjoying this show, and I've been really enjoying reviewing it. One thing I will say is I have noticed that I thought this would have been a lot more hyped, this show. I mean, there's not really that many YouTubers that are actually covering it. I think that's kind of sad. But one thing I will say is I think there's maybe just some of the audience just don't get it, and I understand that, because maybe you've maybe just jumped into it and you don't really know about maybe some of the lore, or maybe have watched Age of Ultron or something like that. And to be honest, as just a regular one-off viewer, you would not get it, because I think it would be a little bit hard to kind of understand, to be perfectly honest. But what I love is, as I say, probably the most about this show is the world building that they're doing. I think it's absolutely fantastic. The way they are showing us certain events that lead up to the now. You know, I just love how they're doing that, because, as I say, it can be done really bad in shows and films. I have seen it happen, but in this show they've actually done it right, and it's really, really, really well done. So yes, I really enjoyed this episode. As I say, this one in episode 6 would probably be my favourite so far. You can let me know all your thoughts and opinions. What did you think about this episode? It's getting really, really intriguing, really, really intriguing now for the next episode. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I look forward to seeing all your comments down in the comment section. If you would like to donate to my YouTube channel, I don't make any money from YouTube itself. If you would like to donate, in my pinned comment section on most or all of my videos, there will be a link where you can go to my PayPal account and you can donate whatever you want, $1, $3, $5, just whenever you want and as much as you want. But listen, it is never ever expected at all, but people do ask, so that's the reason why it's set up. But other than that, I really appreciate all the kind words that you all leave on my videos, and I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, it makes me so happy. So thank you so much for clicking on this video, and if you're new, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you. So thanks very much, guys, and I will see you all in my next video. But until then, stay safe and take care. Bye, guys.